The morning departure from Gander unfolded beneath a thick winter ceiling, a pale grey quilt that stretched unbroken across Newfoundland. Climb out was brisk and efficient, with the TBM settling onto a course toward the Gulf of St. Lawrence and stabilising at a cruise altitude of 12,000 feet before climbing higher to avoid cloud tops and icing. At 14:05 Sim UTC, 1347 Buderim time, the aircraft levelled at its initial cruising altitude, surfing just above a gleaming white overcast that ran to the horizon. From the cockpit, the scene resembled a world emptied of people, quiet, pristine, and held in a soft winter hush. The first position report came over the southern arc of Newfoundland at 48 Rigor, 21.7, 56 Ds, 35, 49.8 W. True airspeed sat at 256 knots with a ground speed of 202, and below lay terrain that looked almost primordial. Marshes, bogs, ponds, and an expanse of tungsten-coloured land barely touched by settlement. Newfoundland is a place that surprises even lifelong Canadians. While the coasts pulse with fishing towns, ports, and tightly knit communities, the interior remains largely empty. A vast, raw hinterland shaped by glaciation and harsh winters, with only fragments of logging roads penetrating its centre. It is a wilderness that has resisted human shaping, a reminder that not every corner of the country follows the southern Ontario or Alberta model of settlement. As the flight continued westward, the foggy greys gave way to an open expanse as the TBM crossed feet wet over the Gulf of St. Lawrence. The second position report at 47 degrees 30, 49.4 N, 57 degree 26, 4.8 Bodius, marked the crossing of Newfoundland's southwestern tip. The Gulf gleamed to the horizon like a sheet of hammered metal under winter sun. Turbulence was light to moderate, but well within comfort range thanks to a sensible cruise altitude chosen to stay below the worst of the jet stream. Fuel estimates fluctuated early but stabilised with the climb to 16,000 feet, aided by thinner, drier air and a gradual drop in torque settings. Passing the waypoint Seal Row confirmed 159 nautical miles remaining to Cayley. Shortly afterward, the coast of Nova Scotia rose ahead, a rugged, deeply indented shoreline defined by granite headlands, quiet fishing harbours and an unmistakable shift in colour. The final overland position report at 46.22, 6.5 N, 60.18 time, 5 bot at 15:05 Buderim time, 15:22 Sim UTC, captured the transition. Cruise altitude 16,000 feet, true airspeed 262 knots, and a ground speed of 211. Below lay the northeastern edge of Nova Scotia, part of Cape Breton's Reach, where forested hills meet a coastline shaped by centuries of Atlantic storms. Compared to Newfoundland's raw interior, Nova Scotia felt softer, more lived in, a patchwork of communities stretching inland from the shore. Descent into Halifax occurred under conditions that could not have contrasted more sharply with the departure. The METARs showed clear skies, 15 statute miles of visibility and light westerly winds. Halifax shimmered in winter sunlight, one of those rare maritime days where the Atlantic air is crisp but not harsh, and the sky holds a pale, glassy clarity. The arrival into the ILS runway 23 brought the aircraft down through clean, dry air, with anti-ice and inertial separators on as a precaution, but ultimately unneeded. The Cabot 5 arrival transitioned smoothly to the localizer, and the aircraft touched down in bright coastal conditions. An unexpectedly perfect finish after a departure filled with overcast, icing concerns, and fuel uncertainty. Halifax itself is one of Canada's oldest and most character-rich cities, shaped profoundly by its relationship with the sea. Founded in 1749 as a British stronghold, it grew into the Royal Navy's key North Atlantic base and later became one of the most important ports in the Western Hemisphere. Today it balances its naval legacy with a cosmopolitan energy driven by universities, maritime industries, and a revitalizing downtown waterfront. Its economy blends public sector institutions, port operations, tech firms, and a vibrant cultural sector. Visitors gravitate to the waterfront boardwalk, Pier 21, Canada's equivalent to Ellis Island, the Maritime Museum of the Atlantic, and the austere star-shaped Halifax Citadel that overlooks the harbour. The city's history is marked by triumph and tragedy, the most notable being the 1917 Halifax explosion, still one of the largest non-nuclear explosions in human history, which levelled much of the city and reshaped its development. Beyond the city lies the broader fabric of Nova Scotia, Lunenburg, Peggy's Cove, Cape Breton, and the fishing traditions that shape the region's identity. And tied forever into that maritime culture is the story of the Bluenose, the famous racing schooner whose silhouette adorns the Canadian dime. Launched in 1921 and undefeated through her racing career, Bluenose became a symbol of both Nova Scotian skill and Canadian pride. Her later fate was unexpectedly humble. Sold into the Caribbean trade, she ended her days hauling cargo before striking a reef off Haiti and sinking. The commissioning of Bluenose 2 in the 1960s was not merely nostalgia, but an act of cultural preservation, an effort to recapture the spirit of the original vessel and anchor it permanently in the national story. Touching down in Halifax concludes a route that traced some of the Atlantic region's most characteristic geography: empty interior highlands, icy Gulf waters, historic coasts, and a destination that remains one of Canada's most distinctive and storied cities. It was a winter flight that balanced weather judgment, fuel planning, cruise level decisions, and the practical awareness of icing and turbulence risks. Yet despite the concerns, the day ended in sunshine on a clear runway, with Nova Scotia laid out in its finest early winter light.